They called him the Vanishing Bandit, a man who arrived like a shadow, took what he wanted, and slipped away as if swallowed by the night. For months, the city lived with the thrum of his footsteps echoing down empty alleys, with the uneasy knowledge that behind any storefront glass, his eyes might be watching. It started at a small jewelry store on a rainy Tuesday. The owner remembers the bell over the door, the polite nod, and then the flash of a hand too quick for the eye. In less than 30 seconds, a tray of watches, necklaces, and a loose roll of bills disappeared. No gun, no mask, just a quiet man with a soft voice who asked the clerk to let him look at the display, and then walked out with the case. That pattern repeated itself across the city. Convenience stores, an upscale boutique, a bakery safe emptied in the back room. He never broke a window. He never shot anyone. He left no prints that matched any profile in the system. Security cameras caught pieces of him, the back of a coat, a profile in a passing reflection, but never a clear face. Detectives called him meticulous. Citizens called him brazen. Journalists called him poetic. But the truth was simpler and more terrifying. He was invisible in ways technology couldn't measure. He understood timing. He studied patrol routes and emergency call patterns. He knew when to step into a doorway so a camera would freeze him only for the duration of a blink. A few things set him apart. He never touched the money on the counter. He took specific things, ledgers, handwritten notes, items that seemed worthless to anyone else. He never targeted people at home. He never posed threats. And perhaps most haunting of all, in each place he visited, he left a single token tucked where only the staff would find it later. A small, folded scrap of paper with one word written in faded ink. The word changed each time, but the message was the same. Remember. The city set up a task force. Plainclothes hours, stakeouts, electronic sweeps. They questioned every fence, every pawnshop owner. They traced an unregistered van seen near 3 hits. They dug through phone records and hotel registers. There were suspects who fit parts of the pattern. A cabbie with a sketchy past, a transient who cleaned offices at night, a clerk who vanished when questioned. None of them fit the whole. Months stretched into a year. Each new failure tightened the knot of fear in the neighborhoods he'd visited. Some businesses boarded up for days. Others left the lights on all night. The scrap notes accumulated into a thin file on a detective's desk, a paper trail of taunts or warnings depending on who read them. Then, as suddenly as he'd begun, the robber stopped. No hits for 18 months. No tokens left behind. It was as if he'd slipped off the map. Rumors blossomed. He'd been killed in a foreign port. He'd entered witness protection. He'd been recruited for something darker. Most plausible, most painful to believe, was that he'd simply faded into another life, ordinary and indistinguishable. Years later, an old pawn shop owner cleaned out a back room and found a small envelope behind a loose brick. Inside were old receipts, faded ledgers, and a scrap of paper, the same handwriting, one word, remember. The discovery reopened the file for a week. Leads were dusted off, surveillance rechecked. Nothing broke open. The Vanishing Bandit's true identity was never discovered. No courtroom drama closed the chapter. No confession printed on yellowed pages. Only a string of empty cases, a stack of tokens, and a city that learned to lock its doors a little earlier each night. Maybe he was a thief with a strange code. Maybe he was a man who stole memories more than merchandise, taking what people valued and leaving a single word to remind them they had once been seen. Or maybe he wanted something else entirely. To build a story people would pass down. A story that would outlast him. Some mysteries are small and petty, others are deliberate. This one lingered in the daylight like a shadow that refused to fade. The Vanishing Bandit left behind a map of questions, but no answers. And sometimes, that's the point. This story was brought to you by MindWorks Media, where true stories cut deeper than fiction. And every secret waits just off the light. Copyright 2025. MindWorks Media.